And that being said, I think I told you the story about my cousin. I'm talking to my cousin. His son is getting married I think in November.
Okay.
Down in Florida, and we're supposed to be going on there for a cruise. But then I just called him just to, chat with him and get details on that. And so we went to talking, and what I love too, Kevin, is that when you follow God, when you have conversation with people, He's going to come up.
All the time.
His name is going to come up
all the time.
So it's not too many conversations I have with people, and not deliberately. I'm not looking at it, but it just tends to go that direction.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to my cousin, Jeff, and he tells me when he was in the military. I think I got it right. He was in Greece. He was young in the military. He was in the Navy. He was in the Navy. And so he said he met this young lady, nice looking young lady. And so she takes him, he was going to this club or this bar or something like that. He said when she opens the door, he looks around and he said, I looked in there, there was people in there, there was guys in there, they looked at me, everything got quiet. And he said, because I can tell I wasn't supposed to be there.
Wrong place, wrong time.
I can see I wasn't supposed to be there. He said, I don't know what was going to happen. I don't know if it's going to kill me, rob me, or what happened. So I immediately closed the door. I closed the door, left, started walking back to my barracks, and I started praying hard. All of a sudden, he looks over. He says, on the beach, he looks over, and he sees like 5 or 6 big dogs. Huge dogs. Big dogs. So he had nothing in his hand, no weapon. And they looking at him.
Wait. Dogs in the front,
Yeah.
danger in the back.
Exactly. So he said he picks up a big brick or a big rock or something like that. And all of a sudden the dogs start coming to him. They start coming to him. He knows, he said, can't run. I got too far to go.
Can't
and if I run, dogs, if you run, they come and get you. So he says he's just praying and praying and praying, got the rock in his hand. All of a sudden they get close to him. And it's about 5 or 6 of them. He said it's surrounding him. In the front, not in the front, on the sides, in the back, and the side. But nothing in the front, nothing in the front. So he kept on walking. He said, but I was walking real timid and real slow. He kept walking. He said, what was interesting about the whole thing, they didn't even bark. No barking, no nothing. And he's just walking. And finally he realized that, man, that scored me home. So he gets, they're not barking or nothing. He gets to his barracks, he goes in, and all of a sudden, Kevin, it's just dog love. He said, I knew right then and there, God is real. Because he sent those dogs over there to protect me to make sure I got back to my back.
Wow. And see, the funny thing about that is you're going to have some people who wouldn't believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you have a person who's lived it.
He's telling you.
Right?
He's telling you
what happened to him.
Exactly.
But you have some people who won't believe it. Then you have other people who say, man, that was just God.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did. That means God was with me. And, divine intervention. When you look back in history, yes, when you look in the Bible, that's happened several times. Not just to one person, it's happened several times. When you think about, and you look in the Old Testament, you think about people like these 3 Hebrew boys that was thrown into the lion's den. Thrown into the fiery furnace. When you look at that, they were thrown in. We're talking about a fiery furnace. We're not talking about we're talking about a furnace. Mm-hmm. They were thrown in, yet they came out unscathed. But they were thrown in to be killed. Mm-hmm. Divine protection. Because when the people looked in, they said, wait a minute, I threw in 3, but I see 4 people walking around. God. Mm. Protection. They came out. When you think about their buddy, now, Daniel, he was in the lion's den. The lions had eaten, yet when the king put him in, the king even said, the God that you serve will protect you. He was right. Mm-hmm. Put Daniel in there. Daniel pulled up a fluffy lion so the story could go, and he would sleep. The king, all night, paced back and forth. Daniel was laying there asleep, came out the next morning, unscathed. The lions protected him. The fire was around the Hebrew boys. This happens throughout the Bible. This is so when we talk about divine protection, that's what he experienced.
Sure.
So it showed that goes on day, and you wonder, for me anyway, I wonder how many other people have had those kind of stories that they haven't shared.
Exactly.
Right? How many things? Because sometimes something maybe you and I, something may happen, and it just seems so weird. I'm gonna share that. I'm gonna tell about that. Why not?
Exactly.
Your cousin told you something that happened to him, and it's like, man, you immediately thought God. He immediately thought God.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
But how many of those stories go untold? There's a lot. There's a lot.
You know what I like though, but he like out of that story, he recognized. He really recognized, and I'm not sure if I would venture. We didn't go into detail, but I would venture to guess that got him closer to God.
I would imagine.
I would imagine that turned him. You always talking about go left, go right. I would imagine that pushed him
Especially
in the right direction.
Yes, if he was teetering, he's in the right direction. And when you think about things like that, divine protection, divine intervention. One of the, because somebody might say, well, that's the Old Testament stuff. That happened back then. New Testament, God protected one of his own for a very long time. Apostle Paul.
Yeah.
Paul was in and out of prison, should have been killed, yet it was always God. God's always been there. And he had peace. And he was chained to a Roman soldier. He survived. Being put in prison, beaten, he survived. God said, it's not your time. And that's something about all of us. When God says, whatever it is, whatever you're dealing with, it's not your time. It's not your time. I got this. I will send something. And God always sends something. Sometimes it's a person. Sometimes it's a situation. But it's always something. In that case, it was dogs.
Dogs.
Because
Big dogs.
because the Bible says,
Big dogs.
God says, I don't need nothing around. If I want to,
Yeah.
I can make the rocks cry out and praise me if I want to. So I don't need nothing. I will work with whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And who would think that you walking along
I know.
and dogs
On the beach.
Right, on the beach.
On the
Just
beach.
dogs. It's just what was some dogs? They were just chilling on the beach.
Yeah.
I started walking. I was a little nervous, but I started walking. They started walking. I'm thinking, what's going on?
Yeah.
We walked on in.
Yeah.
What? That's unusual. It's almost unbelievable.
That's crazy.
But again, a person experiencing, they're trying to tell you, we'd be good to listen to stuff like that and take stuff like that in and do like you do, share it. Because when you share it, it's like, wow, God is real. That really happened to somebody? Oh yeah. Man, God is real. Sometimes we don't believe stuff till we see it though.
Well, and here's the thing too, you never know by sharing it who needs to hear it.
All the time.
You know what I'm saying? God does it for it. He does it for a reason. I mean, you just never know.
And if it's one person,
That's all you need.
it may be one. Because you know what? I'm glad you said that. Because you can share something with one person, and it may be the one right person. And that person may have because what we don't know as we just live in our own life, wrapped up in our own self, what we don't understand and don't know is what we're doing impacts and affects others.
Yeah.
And we don't know how it does that. Because you don't know who's looking at you when you're doing out in public. When you don't know who's looking at you. Some kid may be looking at you. So somebody may need to hear something you're saying.
Yeah.
And if you say it and that right person hears it, now they take that same information or story to the next person. And if God is trying to get someone into a position or trying to help somebody, it's what you're doing from this person to that person to that person, and finally it gets to where it needs to get to. But if you didn't do your part, it never moves.
It's almost like you know this. You have a situation, you have a problem, you're trying to figure it out, you all answer your blood pressure is up because you're trying to figure it out, you're moving around real fast. But it's not until you just calm down, relax. Oh, my dad used to do this. If he was doing some construction work or what have you, he would calm down He couldn't figure it out and just walk away. And look, he walk away and he come back later.
Right.
When he come back later, boom, he got it.
Whole different thing.
Whole different thing. It's almost like God steps in and says, I got you. I got you. It was interesting that when you calm down and you let God do the work, he pieces it up together with dogs. It's amazing how he can take the dominoes and just move them. It was interesting to me, but I always think about, okay, he fixed my problem, but I wonder, because he used other people, how many other people found he was fixing what?
Right.
I mean, these same people that he had fixed helped me fix my problem. I wonder how many people problems he was fixing at the same time.
Same time.